Welcome to BTS Beans FF's disclaimer. This is a complete work of fan fiction. One was running through dark alleys, her heart racing as she tried to hide from her psycho ex-boyfriend. She knew he was a part of her underworld mafia and he was obsessed with her to the point of madness. She had tried to run away from him multiple times, but it seemed like he would always find her. Her heart was beating so fast while she could hear his whistle, that creepy whistle that always scared her to core. As she ran more fussy but tripped on her feet, he was getting closer. So she immediately tried to run, but she had twisted her feet badly and was not able to move. He leisurely strolled closer, closing the distance between them, as if he had all the time in the world. His ominous whistle still echoed throughout the empty alley, sending shivers down her spine. "There's no use in running, my love," he drawled, his voice sickly sweet. "You know I'll always find you, and look where your little escape attempt got you." One sobs looking towards him. "Why can't you understand, Jungkook? I don't want to get back. We're over. Please leave me alone and mind your own business." His eyes darkened on her words, but his masked it for her sake. "No possibility of, especially now, when you clearly needed my help. Do you want me to leave you here alone?" His cool expression changed as he leans down and scooped her in his arms. She gasps as she threw her fist in his, but it seems like nothing affected him, which makes her cry more. He chuckles as her attempts to hit him, not even flinching at the impact. Instead, he holds her tighter in his arms, a smirk playing on his lips. "Shh, it's okay, my little bird," he coos, his voice dripping with mock sweetness. "I know you're upset, but you don't have to worry. I've got you now, and I'm not letting you go." One sobs, but knowing nothing will affect him, she silently laid her head on his shoulder while tears were still rolling down her eyes. "I hate you," she whispers. He chuckles in mockness. "Come on, little dove. We both know you don't. Now close your eyes and just relax." He examined her feet protectively while she was just sitting silently, staring him. "You can't move for the next few weeks because you have sprained your leg," and groaned, closing her eyes in annoyance and frustration. "I told you to not run away, Wyatt, but of course you won't listen. Do you ever able to succeed in your plans?" "No, never." "But no, why won't you listen and act like a sane person for once when grits are date?" "Are you mocking me now?" She grabs his hair as she makes him face him, but not with a grip. He pockets her cheek, staring her. "You know what makes me more obsessed with you? When it's a bro. You can't even hurt me, even though you're extremely mad at me." He chuckles and she grits her teeth. "Don't challenge me, Jungkook," she grits out as she pulled his hair like later now, but only for him to chuckle more. He was not a psycho, but an idiot also, who was crazy in love and obsessed with her. As she took a deep breath with closed eyes and let go of his words, knowing very well she can't reciprocate his craziness. Jung watches her struggles to contain her anger, his dark eyes glittering with twisted pleasure. He was amused by her attempts to resist him, knowing full well that she is incapable of hurting him, no matter what. "You can try all you want, little," he murmured, his voice silky and smooth. "But we both know I'm the one in control here. You can't hurt me no matter how much you want to." Reaches out a hand and gently tucks a stray strand of hair behind her ear. "You're mine, and you always will be." "Just shut your mouth, Jungkook," she quits as she tried to go up but hissed, forgetting she was injured. "Oh my god, Gwen, see, you can't even take care of yourself without me," he scolds as he picks her. "Where do you want to go?" She sighs. "My room, please." "No, we're going to doctor. You need a plaster." She sighs, nodding. One was 23 and the other was 28 years old, and he was a mafia king by profession, where he works as a doctor to hide his underworld identity. One met him in hospital as doctor, and they quickly got along, too. Both of them were dating for a year now. He was already crazily obsessed with her, but his craziness, when turned into psychotic, she didn't even realize. But recently, she found out about his original identity as a mafia king, and she was so scared to go. She tried to break up, but he was not ready to leave no matter what. She tried to run away, not once, but multiple times, but he always found her in end. And that's the same thing happened earlier, too. He carried her out of the house and towards his car as he gently placed her in the passenger seat before getting into the driver's seat and starting the engine. He glanced at her while driving, his eyes scanning her figure in a possessive way. No need to look so tense, Dove, he murmured, his voice low and soothing. I'll make sure you get the best care. Just shut up, Jungkook, and concentrate on driving. I'll slide this insult just because I love you and you're injured. One size in defeat. Don't reject her, and he said the same words that Jungkook already said. Of course, he was the famous doctor, but why was one running away from him? Because she recently got to know about his real identity as a mafia lord, which scared her to go, and she tried to break up and run away from him many times, but he always found her no matter wherever she go. Little lost her hair, and now she was awfully dependent on Jungkook. While on the other side, she was huffing like a baby. He was happy to have her close to him. Looks like you're going to be stuck with me for a while, he teased, his voice dripping with satisfaction. You have nowhere to run now, little dove. When Graham asked the signals, zipping his steps dramatically, while a little smirk still blistering his lips. One was struggling to walk, his eyes as he picks her in his arms, and she squeals on his sudden act, making him smirk at her squeak. He was silently enjoying how she instinctively held him tightly. See, he said with a slight chuckle, it's not so hard to admit you need my help. I told you you should have asked for help instead of being so stubborn. It will not affect your ego, not a bit, trust me. But if you keep going stubborn and try to put pressure on your feet, it will only make you more worse, and eventually you will be dependent on me for months instead of weeks. When you're sparked up as you unconsciously grab his shirt tightly and mentally take notes to her for help if needed. He held her closer as he walked, his grip on her strong and secure. You should take my advice more often, Dove, he added, his voice low and possessive. Looks at her, a hint of playfulness in his eyes. You know, it's going to be quite difficult for you to get around, Dove, he remarks. Look like you have to rely on me for everything. One knows what he was hinting. I got it. No need to repeat same words again and again. She huffs in annoyance and he chuckles at her dart, amused by her stubbornness. Oh, my sweet little bird, he murmured. You can pout all you want, but it won't change the fact that you're at my mercy now. Just accept it, my love. I'm going to be taking care of you whether you like it or not. She huffs annoyed. I'm sipping, so turn on the light and bye. He shakes his head. You need me next to you 24/7, which means we're sleeping together, he murmured as he also lay in bed and pulled a blanket on himself while her heart was beating so fast as she gulps. It's so necessary. Come on, love, it is. Having no other option, she sighs, and let him do whatever he wants. Days start passing, and with every passing day, Wayne needed more help of Jungkook while he didn't let any chance to become more clumsy with her. She was sitting on his while he was feeding her food. Jungkook, my hands are fine. You know that, right? Shh, he scolds gently. No need to argue. I'm just making sure you're properly taken care of. You should be thankful that I'm doing this for you, you know? I'm still your boyfriend, even before that, your best friend. You need my help anyways, she groans in annoyance on his stubbornness. He loves having her so dependent on him. It makes him feel powerful and possessive. It's been 4 weeks and one cluster got removed and she was completely fine by now, while her brain was making new ways too. He kept a close eye on her, noticing every whimsical change in her behavior. He knew her like the back of his hand, which made it almost impossible for her to plan everything without him knowing. One was running away while she can hear a jeep following behind her. How many times she have attempted to run away, she don't even remember. Like always, he found her, but she knew this is going to be extreme at this point. She could stop following me. I don't want to go back, she yelled with tears. But before she knew, he something in her neck, which makes her pale and as she slowly lost her consciousness, making her to fall on him. I told you to not do it again. Didn't I, love? Now see, I have to make you lose your memories, just to keep you to myself. He mumbles, creasing her cheeks as he wipes her still fresh tears and picks her on his shoulder like a doll with a running weight. When one opened her eyes, she found her in an unfamiliar place. As she looks around, don't remain and think. You're up, baby girl. The sudden cool voice makes her startle as it sends shivers down her spine. He smiles, coming towards her while she stares him in perplexity while blinking her eyes innocently. Who are you? She heard her just speaking, her confusion clearly on her face. He smiles at her innocence, loving how she's unable to recall anything about their past. I'm your boyfriend, princess, love of your life. Do you have a good sleep, princess? He asks, his hand gently caressing her face. He takes a seat on the edge of the bed, his eyes never leaving her. How are you feeling, sweetheart? He asked with a hint of concern in his voice. What? Why don't you remember anything? She panics as she massages her temples. I got up hastily as she looks around, sweat beads on her forehead while she was breathing, as she desperately looks around to find something familiar. Where am I? She murmured. Singo, who was working on his seat, looks up towards her as she raises a brow to see her condition. She was lying on a couch on his cabin as he leaves his file and immediately comes towards her in a worry. One look at her feet to see mark of her old injury, which was still there. What's wrong? He checked her pulse and then wiped her dust sweaty face, very clearly visible on his face. One just realized it was just a bad dream. Jung won't go this though to keep her for himself, will he? She stared at him for a few seconds, only to find genuine concern and worry on his face. Do you love me, Jungkook? She heard herself speaking. He raised a brow on her sudden question. Is it even a question, Dove? Of course, I love you. What about your obsession? He stared at her and slightly averted his gaze, but went all his jaw as she forced him to look at her. Tell me, Ryan. I just want to know the truth. I am, he accepted, with lower head. What's the level of your obsession? He raised his head on her upset question. His expression slightly darkened, his jaw clenching slightly. He knew he was obsessed with her, but the level of it was even too much for him to comprehend. Sometimes, as he took a deep breath before speaking again. My obsession with you is like a deep abyss, he said slowly. It's endless, bottomless. I can't help but to want you all to myself all the time. He leaned closer to her, his eyes locked on hers. It's not healthy, but I can't help it. She nods. Will you or make me lose some memories if needed? She murmured, confronting what she was in her dream, and was deeply scared to know his answers herself now. Linko stiffened when she asked him this question, his eyes narrowing. As he stared at her, he could see the fear in her eyes, and he knew that his answer would either terrify or hurt her. He was silent for a few moments before speaking. If it is necessary to keep you with me, he said slowly, then yes, I will do it. His voice was low and measured in an attempt to not scare her. All her heart clenched as she was feeling her to know this, and the pain was indescribable, as something twisted and shattered inside her, mainly because even though he was obsessed with her, she still trusted him. But this was too much for her, or maybe she was not expecting this answer. Maybe deep down she was still hopeful for them, as she nodded silently and looked toward the side, eyes slightly turning gloomy. Jung also noticed the hurt on her expressions and his heart clenched in pain. He knew he had shattered whatever hopes she had for him, and he hated himself for this. I know you don't like this, he said softly, but you need to understand, my love. When it comes to you, I'll do anything and everything in my power to keep you to me, including making me lose my memories, she questioned in disbelief. She can't tell him the pain she was feeling. Maybe the drama and dream was about her future. As she looked down, some more tears rolled down from her eyes. She thought to give them a chance, but his words were making her think otherwise now. She can handle his obsession, but toxic obsession and making her lose memories was way too much for her to handle. She gulped a lump, taking a shaky breath as she got up from couch. Jimmy watches her getting up, his eyes narrowing as he took in the slight tremble in her body. He could sense the turmoil inside her and worried him. He stepped closer to her, his hand gently touching her shoulder. "Where are you going? What are you thinking?" he asked quietly. "You're making me worry." "Nothing." She had dry lips, hiding the pain, and he took a step closer, gently grabbing her chin to turn her face towards him. His eyes searched, looking for any hint of what was going inside her head. "Don't lie to me," he said sternly. "I can see the things. Something is bothering you. Tell me what it is." Liu Chun, "At the end, you will remain the same, and I will be the only person to suffer." She slightly pushed him away, letting go of her emotions and tears at the same time. His eyes widened at her revelation, a pang of guilt and pain shooting through his chest. He tried to speak and think to confront, reassure her, but no words came out of his lips. "No, love," he whispered, his hand reaching up to wipe away her tears, but she moved away from his touch. "Please listen to me," he implored, his voice crackling slightly. "I don't want to hurt you, Anne. You have to believe me." She silently nods, moving to the other side. "Yeah, and making me lose my memories, including your love, and not hurting me." She gave him a bitter smile as he clenched his jaw. "You know it's not like that," he said through gritted teeth. "I would do it to protect you." He took another step towards her, his hand clenching into tight. "Please understand, it's not easy for me either. I don't want to hurt you, but sometimes it's necessary." "Necessary word, Jungkook, hmm?" She grabbed his shirt from collars, tears rolling down her eyes. She was thinking he might understand, but he seemed same. Her pain doesn't matter to him. Will he ever think about how helpless and hurtful she feel if he ever really did this? Will she ever want to live with him knowing he can go to words? Why don't he just love her like a normal person? She also want to live like a normal happy person. "You don't understand, do you?" He said, his voice strained. "I can't help it. I can't just change who I am. And don't you think I want to just run my relationship like you do?" He gently patted her fingers off his shirt, his eyes pleading with her to understand. "It doesn't seem like that to me, Jungkook. You're making me think otherwise." He grabbed her waist roughly, his patience thinning at her words, at the way she was backing away from him. He took elevated panther steps towards her, like a predator. "You think this is easy for me," he exclaimed. "You think I want to be obsessed with you, but it's who I am. I can't change it no matter how much I want to." He took a deep breath, trying to calm himself down. "I'm trying to get better for you, for us. Why can't you trust me? You're trying." She looks towards him with her teary eyes as she ran a frustrated hand through his hair, clearly agitated. "Please just give me a chance to prove it to you. Trust me this once, please. Promise me then. You will take therapy, Jungkook, and you will leave your mafia world too." He paused at her words, his eyes widening in shock. Leave the mafia world? That was a part of him, and it was all he knew. But he looked at her face, saw the pain of desperation in her eyes, and he couldn't deny her anything as he sighed heavily, swallowing his pride and his doubts. Fine, he muttered, his voice strained. I promise I'll take therapy and leave the mafia world too. Just for you. She bit her lower lip. Promise. He looked at her directly in her eyes, his gaze intense and unwavering. I give you my word, he said firmly. I'll take therapy and I'll leave the mafia world for you. Promise. He reached out and gently took her hands in his own, squeezing them lightly. I may still have many issues, he confessed, but I will do my best to overcome them for you, for us, and I promise, baby. That was what one wants to hear. She trusted him enough to believe he was not lying before he predicted her next action. She tiptoed. His eyes got wide, but immediately responded to her. His heart warmed at her. It was after months, him willingly, and the feel of her lips against his sent shivers down her spine. He gently stroked her cheek, his eyes never leaving hers. I promised Jungkook to be by your side, but you need to understand me too, please. I cannot live in a suffocate relationship. She murmured softly, eyes still lightly glossy as he both cheeks and then eyes lightly. I know you can't take too much, he said softly. I'll try my best to understand and respect your boundaries. I promise, I just love you so much. Sometimes it scares me, even me. He pulled her closer, his arms wrapping around her waist tightly yet protectively. It felt like a weight had lifted over his shoulders. No memory lost, right? He shook his head vigorously, his expression determined. No memory loss, he assured her. Never, I promise. I'll never do anything like that to you. Not if I can help it. He gently cradled her face, his hand in his thumb squeezing her cheeks. I love you too much to risk losing you, my darling, and I would never want to hurt you like that. You may never think to me lightly as she smiles. But settle then, she smiles before giving him as he chuckled softly at her. Reciprocating it with equal enthusiasm, they pulled away as he creased her cheeks slightly, mirroring her emotions. We're settled, he agreed, a smile tugging at the corner of his lips. He tilted her chin up, his eyes drawing her face. No more secrets, no more lies, he said softly, just us together trying to make this work. He wrapped his arms around her waist tightly while she snuggled in his. Don't make me regret my future generation depends on you now. A smug smirk dug his lips as he chuckles. Someone is already planning for future, he cooed as he tried to pull away and see her, but she didn't let him do, knowing very well he will tease her more while she was pushing so hard. Life is not easy, never was nor be, but she loves Jungkook too. It was right, she tried to run away, but that was because of her second profession. She was not really a fonder of and these things like this. Moreover, it was a sudden revelation when she got to know about his originality, mainly she had his conversation. Jungkook had told her himself it might be different and she will get less scared of things happened. In the end, when knew he loves her more than anything, and if he's ready to see a psychiatrist whom he despises more than anything, and even more, he's ready to leave his entire mafia world for her knowingly. That bloomed her heart with affection for him, and those words are more than enough to reassure her. He will really do what he was saying because no matter what, he never let go of her rest on him and his loyalty. Thanks for watching, everyone.